I only went downstairs to stop the rattle in the vents. At midnight, the furnace in the basement coughed like an old smoker, and the vent in my bedroom kept making the thin aluminum buzz that drives a person quietly insane. I told myself I'd flip the switch, tap the duct with a broom handle, and go back up. I didn't put on shoes. I didn't turn on every light. I should have done both. The basement has one window, a ground-level casement set into a concrete well that collects leaves, cigarette butts, and rainwater. From outside, you'd see it just above the lawn line. From inside, it's a rectangle to look up at. I've never liked it. It's the kind of window criminals crawl through in movies, because nobody believes it's large enough until somebody fits anyway. The pull chain bulb stuttered once, then settled into a weak orange. The washer and dryer squatted like animals near the far wall, their backs making a kind of tunnel that pointed at the window. Cold lived in that tunnel. My breath showed up where it shouldn't have. I shut off the furnace. The noise stopped so completely the silence had weight. And then I heard something I couldn't call a sound until I admitted it. Earth shifting, a careful drag over gravel, like someone digging with their hands, pausing to listen. I told myself it was raccoons in the window well, a cat, the neighborhood kid's prank. I took a step forward, and a handful of tiny pebbles tapped the inner sill as if something outside had exhaled against the glass. I stood there with my hand on the light chain, not pulling, because darkness felt like permission. The window clouded with a round patch of condensation at about face height. It was the size a person would make if they pressed their mouth to the pane and breathed in a circle to see through. I turned on my phone flashlight, and the beam bounced off dust. The glass showed finger streaks. Not fingerprints, not smears from cleaning, parallel, vertical strokes, as if someone had been exploring the texture lightly. Testing it, I texted my neighbor. "You up?" The bubbles never appeared. The send bar crawled like a worm, and then decided to stop moving. I raised the phone, and the round patch on the glass cleared just enough to show a shape moving behind it. Not a face, a suggestion of a head bent too far forward, the shoulders crowded up like a crouch. The latch clicked. I didn't see it move. The sound was out of proportion to what it could be, like a heartbeat practicing. Click, then quiet. I told the room, "No," in a voice that wasn't brave. The washer and dryer framed the window like a stage, and I watched the dark behind the glass adjust itself, deciding whether to perform. I grabbed the broom from the corner and slid down the wall until I could see the well outside at an angle. The metal grate that should have covered it wasn't there, just the rust outline and scratches where something had pried it up. The dirt showed troughs, as if toes had dragged, not heels. As if someone had climbed down head first. A new sound started, soft, patient knocking. 3 taps, same force, exactly level with my eyes. I flinched and the broom bristled against concrete. My phone told me it was 12:11. I wished for 2 a.m., the honest hour when a bad thing has to close its act. Midnight pretends to be half possibilities. Another click from the latch. The casement opened a finger's width inward, enough for the smell of wet earth to fold into the room and sit with me. Wind didn't do that. Not down here. Wind didn't arrive in a straight line. I wedged the broom handle under the latch and into the sill like a tourniquet for the window. The bristles squealed. It felt ridiculous. What is a broom against a decision? But the clicking stopped. The knock didn't. I killed the bulb. My thumb knew where the chain ended, and the basement orange became a deeper red from outside. Darkness got brighter in that way it does when your pupils accept defeat. The condensation halo on the glass pulsed once and burst into tiny rivulets. I breathed wrong on purpose to make the panic obey me. Outside, the dust under the window rose as if drawn up a straw. It stuck to the glass and arranged itself into a ring. And the ring became a 0. And for a long, quiet second, the window wore a mouth. I don't know when the furnace decided to come back to life. I'd killed the switch. The duct behind me sighed the way a sleeping person sighs when they decide whether to wake. I turned in a slow circle, trying not to give my back to anything for longer than it takes to be embarrassed by superstition. When I faced the window again, I saw fingertips. They weren't placed on the pane. They were below it, just visible, feeling for the underside of the sill like a blind person finding the edge of a table. 2, then 3, then the suggestion of a 4th, pale where they met the red light from outside, patient the way a spider is patient. The phone vibrated in my palm. Message failed to send. Try again. I liked how the question mark asked me to admit I needed help. I hit yes, because the alternative was to stand there with a broom arguing with a shape. Out in the well, gravel shifted like beads down a throat. The fingers withdrew. The round of condensation brightened as if someone outside smiled into the glass. I thought of children copying your breathing patterns in a mean game, mocking you until you laugh or cry. I thought of my mother telling me never to open a thing that opens itself for you. Something touched the outer frame, hard enough to knock dust loose from the inner lip. I backed into the washer, and the metal skin gave a hollow complaint. A new smear appeared at nose height, the kind made by someone pressing and sliding their face to listen better. I whispered, "Please, stop." It felt like tipping a glass of water onto a bonfire. The bonfire inhaled. The dust lifted off the sill in a smooth sheet and rose toward the pane before falling again in a slow, regretful drift. The casement opened another inch. The broom groaned in its wedge. I pressed the handle down with both hands, heart doing heavy labor. The latch ticked once, not forward, but backward, as if unscrewing me from the decision. I thought, I'll run. I'll go up the stairs. I'll wake someone. My brain built the sentence, "There's someone in my window well," and the air in the basement copied the shape of the words without using a voice. It pressed the idea back at me from the glass. I counted to 10. It counted 11. A smile, not a face, only the pull of it, arranged the condensation into a longer curve. The grin didn't brighten. The red behind it did. The washer beside me clinked softly as its drum settled. I moved the broom with a little more intent, set the bristles harder into the sill, and leaned my weight. The latch made a small, defeated sound. The casement trembled and closed enough to break the line of outside air. Pressure changed. The earth smell faded like a guest deciding to leave politely. I held there, folded over the handle, until all I could hear was my breath and the little electric noises most rooms make when you're quiet enough to qualify as furniture. I stayed that way long enough to make a superstition. If I let go now, it will start again. Eventually, I let go. I slid sideways between the washer and dryer, keeping my eyes on the window. I took a step, then another, and reached for the chain. I pulled. The bulb popped and did not return. Red from the well painted the concrete in stripes. I went up the stairs on careful feet, the broom in my hand like a walking stick. At the door to the kitchen, I turned back, because that's what people in mistakes do. From the shadow at the base of the steps, the basement looked emptied out. The window was closed. The round patch on the glass had melted into runnels. The fingertips were gone. Only a smear at nose height remained. A faint oval that could have been mine if I had been brave enough to press my face there. I locked the kitchen door the way a child does, with too much ceremony. I slept on the couch with the TV muttering old shows into the room. At 3:17, a car door somewhere outside thumped, and tires whispered away on wet road. In the morning, I went around to the window well with coffee and a shovel, rehearsing an ordinary story about raccoons to tell whoever asked. The grate lay against the siding. In the mud below it, 2 handprints faced down. The fingers were long. The thumbs were on the wrong side. I put the grate back and weighted it with bricks. In the concrete lip of the well, shallow grooves had been bitten into the edge. Each groove was narrow and even, like teeth practicing a softer way to hold.